Welcome to the Marketing with a Book and Speech podcast. My name is Devin DeVries. I am the Vice President of Production and Promotion at Indie Books International, and I'm pleased to be stepping in as host this week in place of Henry, who had to step away. We have an exciting episode coming up. It's our year-end review. So thank you so much for listening all year, and we look forward to the 2022 season. As we like to do at the beginning of the podcast, we're going to start with the author roll call. So please tell us your name, where you're from, and the name of your book. And we'll start off with David, please, and then go to John.
Thanks, Devin. Hi, I'm David Goldman. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I wrote the book, The Road to Happiness, How to Get What You Really Want. And what I'm really thrilled about is coming up in 2022, I'm co-writing with Henry and with Mark LeBlanc a book called Bringing in the Business. Very excited about it.
I'm John Salaika from Memphis, Tennessee. My future book is called Building Trust for Organizations, where we're going to be solving the mystery to the biggest obstacle that prevents consistent greatness in organizations.
Great. Welcome. Next, we have Dr. Carey, and then we'll have Joe Paolo, please.
Hi, guys. Coming to you from cloudy and wintry Montana today. And I am the author of Self-Help on the Go, which is coming out, according to Devin, in late February, first week of March.
Thanks, Devin. I'm Joe Paolo. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm author of How to Sell Nothing. And Devin, I have been actually working on it, so I do have stuff to send you. So we're getting it.
Excellent. Love to hear it. And then finally, can we have General Foley and then Mark?
Well, good evening, folks from Augusta, Georgia. My name is Jeff Foley, and I am the proud author of Brave Business Leadership. And I've just been proud part of Henry and Mark's and Devin's organization now for the last 4 or 5 years. So thanks for allowing me to continue to learn from you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark LeBlanc, and I act as the chairman of Indie Books International, and we're going on, coming up on our 8th year anniversary. So thank you for joining us. We started this podcast in early January, and what a great way to close out our year. But I'm in downtown Minneapolis and excited. David already did a little spoiler alert. My next book is titled Bringing in the Business, and will be co-authored by Henry and David Goldman. It might be my best work yet, and honored to share the stage with David and Henry.
Wonderful. Thank you. And again, my name is Devin. I'm in Oceanside, California, and I'm working on my first book, which is Marketing with a Seminar. And with that, Mark and I thought we'd have a little chat about small scale seminars, and then also what's been working this year in our businesses. And then we'll open it up and get to hear some of what went well in 2021 for all of you. So Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Devin.
The small scale seminar strategy has been a game changer for growing our business, and we've helped a lot of our clients use it as well. And we learned this from you.
Well, I'll take just a tiny bit of credit, but I think it was a strategy that was made for you and Henry as well. So it did not take much urging. It was, oh gosh, it seems like a long time ago now, and yet it seems like yesterday when I went full time as a speaker and a business coach, and yet to be an author. I really had nothing on my calendar. and my confidence was low. My calendar wasn't even light. I literally had nothing on the calendar. And it was almost as if one day I woke up and the voice said, if you want to speak, speak. And somehow I made a commitment that day. I thought, I need to be standing in front of 2 audiences every 30 days. And little did I know that that moment and that decision would become arguably the greatest strategy that I've ever implemented. And just 3 weeks later, of course, I thought, well, how am I going to get 2 speeches or 2 presentations every 30 days? And I didn't know. Later on, I would find out that the how always follows the want. And just 3 weeks later, I was at a networking meeting in St. Paul, Minnesota, about 20 or so professionals. And a gentleman next to me said, Mark, aren't you a speaker? Don't you you speak at meetings? Oh, yes, I do. And he said, well, I'm the volunteer coordinator for the Professional Sales Association. Would you ever be open to doing a presentation for us? And it's like, well, I'd have to check my calendar, but yeah, let me see what we can do. And I had nothing on my calendar. I was just simply trying to play the game. And wouldn't you know it, he reached out to me and said, Mark, I wanted to circle back with you because our speaker for March 3rd canceled. And this was March 3rd of 1994. And I did a 1-hour presentation. Of course, my confidence wasn't very high. In fact, I say it got off to a little bit of a slow start. And after about 40 minutes, I hit my stride. And at the end of that 1-hour presentation in front of about 100 or so salespeople from all walks of life, a gentleman came up to me and said, Mark, any chance you've got an extra handout? I want to send it to my sales manager in Chicago. And I said, sure. And I gave him a handout. Devin, that was all I needed. That was an ounce of encouragement or validation that I needed. Now I went home and crashed for the rest of the day. But 3 weeks later, I got another one for the Council of Independent Professional Consultants. And that led to my, not my first coaching clients, but it led to 6 coaching clients that came from that second showcase presentation. And since March of 1994, I have consistently done 2 no-fee presentations, branded it a showcase type strategy. And now the showcase strategy can take different forms in different profit centers. But I waived my fee for 2 presentations every 30 days. I have rarely missed a month since 1994. And something I want people to understand or make note of is something I refer to as the genealogy of your revenues. Every nickel you deposit in your business can typically be traced back to 2, possibly 3 strategies. And I find that 80% of my revenues historically over time, I can trace back to either someone who heard me or experienced me in a no-fee presentation, or they were referred to me by someone who heard me in a showcase type presentation. And so there are a lot of great strategies out there, but the magic happens when people experience you. And Devin, you and Henry, and you, Henry, and I don't know what the count is, but I think we probably have done together, I want to say close to 100 showcase presentations in building indie books. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, easily. Yeah, when you were talking about the 2 a month, when we started, we embraced that, and we did 2 presentations, mostly the Marketing with a Book and Speech Summit presentation every month.
Yeah.
And all of, wherever we could. So all over the country. And we just kept applying that. And I would say probably around year 4, we had done one of those genealogy of the revenues, and almost exactly the same. It was like 83% were traced back to attending one of our workshops or being referred from somebody who had came and then said, oh, these people they're the real deal. You should talk to them. So it is very powerful. I would say as we switched to virtual over the last year, we're probably doing 1 showcase a month now. But we also kind of passed that threshold of a business around year 7 that happens where you start to get the referral business is so much higher that we were able to pull back a little bit on these strategies for totally new prospects, So for us, when we're doing the seminars, these are like strangers. They have no, this is their first experience meeting us. So we haven't had to be as aggressive in that sector anymore because these other things have been paid off over time. So, but if you're just starting out, there's nothing like this strategy for seeing quick results.
Sure. It's for me, it started out, the showcase strategy started out as being invited to speak, typically a monthly meeting where they typically don't pay speakers. And I rode that way for a long, long time. You and Henry and I have done a really good job of staging our own showcase type presentations and not selling seats, but filling seats and having control over what we create. Can you talk a little bit about that? You're better at that than I am in my business model. So can you talk to that, Aim?
Yeah, I know I've shared the story a couple of times on the podcast, but for us, as a startup, we didn't really have much of a database to go after. So we did have to kind of get creative on how are we going to find these prospects, and LinkedIn was the answer for us. And it's an amazing tool. There's so much information that we all put into our profiles that is searchable. So really just, embracing a new tool. And for us, that was new at the time, 7+ years ago. Nobody was using LinkedIn this way to reach out to people with invitations. Things have changed now, and there's people that are using it in more of a spammy way and that kind of thing. So you do have to adjust with the times and make sure the strategy is still working. But for the most part, it holds true that you can find your prospects that way. And if the message is right for them, they're going to respond. But it does also help to be really clear on who your audience is for those kind of tools. So same if you were doing any sort of advertising, the clearer you can be on who your ideal, prospect or audience member is, the better those tools will work for you.
I've got a question for you. What would you say to somebody who says, well, we're virtual now, there are not monthly meetings of groups. Do I need to wait until things open up a bit more? And of course, we're seeing a rise in COVID cases again. How would you respond to that?
I would urge you to not wait, especially right now. Everything is so uncertain. Who's to say next month would be better?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's happening now, and that's what we can control. Yeah, we were really hoping we might be able to get back to maybe a 50% live, 50% virtual in 2022. But again, that's already being kind of put to the test. So at this point, we are still planning out our webinar schedule for the next year. And there have been some really great benefits that have opened up to the virtual. One, the biggest one to me is the reach. So, we did try to go several places across the country, but still that was maybe 6 cities a year.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't live anywhere near those, we were never going to reach out and get a chance to meet you. But for what we do, our prospects live all across the country, really all across the world. We had a couple meetings, Zoom meetings with people in Europe this year that were looking for a publisher based in the United States. So it just opens it up so much more. So there's a lot of potential there. And I would say group meetings are still happening. If it was any sort of organization that wanted to continue on, they found a way to go virtual. Like I'm a member of Toastmasters International, and they encouraged all the clubs to pivot to virtual so that the clubs could continue meeting.
Sure.
And still to this day, a lot of meetings, clubs, including mine, are in a hybrid approach, where we'll meet in person a couple times a month for those that are comfortable with that, but we still have our Zoom meeting a few times a month for those that prefer that. So I would say if you are those people are meeting, you just might need to do a little bit more research to find them, but organizations are still having meetings and they are looking for presenters.
And I think you're absolutely right. And I have yet to come across a sliver of the marketplace. So when we think about an author who has a book, every person has their sliver called right or perfect fit. And for indie books, of course, we are looking to serve coaches and consultants and independent professionals, really of almost any stripe. But every chapter of the National Speakers Association is meeting every 30 days. Every chapter of the Institute of Management Consultants is meeting. I don't remember how many chapters they have now. I want to say 14. But every chapter of the International Coaching Federation is meeting. I just booked one in Oregon and did one in Cleveland here last month. So for our sliver of the world and for my sliver of the world, meetings are still happening. But I would suggest to people, and Devin, you're just so sweet. You're so much sweeter than I am. Because if somebody said to me, well, Mark, we're going virtual now. I think I need to wait till things open up. And I might say something like, that's just stupid. Or maybe I would suggest that it's silly or short-sighted, because the opportunities now to do things virtually like this are astounding. And all you got to do is look at your LinkedIn connections, look at your database. Who are the people getting your newsletter? How many, what are your contacts on Facebook? What about your past clients? What about current clients? And, I think people sometimes take shots at me, but I have built my business on a very simple mantra, a little bit of a joke, but it really holds true. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in the name of growing their business, by God, I want to be there. And so the opportunity exists to stage your own showcases immediately. You barely need a runway. You need a date, and you need an email, and you need a little bit of a campaign to simply invite people and start, with 8, 10, 12 people or 5, 6, 7 people. But if you have expertise, and I'm going to head an objection off at the pass, because a lot of people stay in that getting ready to get ready mode. Again, that would be one of those things that would be just stupid. I'm known sometimes for stepping on people's toes, and most professionals, I barely have met a professional that did not have a treasure chest or a deep well of connections and contacts already in their network, fans and friends and followers. And I would say, and sounds really harsh, but if you're not willing to do this, don't tell me you're passionate about what you want to do in the world. You might be merely interested in doing more of the good work you feel called and compelled to do. I think you need about a 30-day, a 45-day, maybe up to 90 days, but even that always seems a little bit long in the virtual world. You could put together a round table very quickly of 8, 10, 12 people. And I cannot think of a better strategy. And then when you round it out with what we call the advocate strategy or the coffee talk strategy or the storm starter strategy, the synergy of strategies is the one, I think, great idea. Is your mix of strategies that you're implementing on a monthly basis, is it getting you the number of at-bats or meaningful conversations you need to put you in a position to book your targeted numbers? But the magic happens when people experience you, and there's no better way than when you are demonstrating and sharing your expertise. I like to think of it as your WISI, W.I.S.S.I, your wisdom, insights, strategies, stories, and ideas. You can create a turning point in the direction of your dream almost immediately with a couple of well-delivered showcase type presentations.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think it's also, I'm going to give you a plug or a little shout out, Devin. Sometimes people need a seat filling Sherpa at their side, and you've done an amazing job helping people fill their own showcase type events and to strategize and brainstorm. And so any of you, if you're open to a conversation about working side by side with Devin, I think you owe it to yourself to reach out to her and have a conversation on how you can make the showcase strategy work for you. Devin, do you have a thought about that, or when you're ready, why don't we open it up to some great ideas from our studio audience members?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for saying that. I have seen this strategy work, just amazing results for people, and I'm very passionate about it. And I love working with people and helping them design their version of the showcase and figure out the best, mix of marketing strategies to fill the seats. So I would love to talk to any of you about it and see what we can put together for 2022.
Well, you
Yes.
sure have done a great job at filling seats for our indie books showcases along the way. So thank you for your good work. And also, spoiler alert, and I think you mentioned it, but you're publishing a book in 2022 specifically on this strategy. So we'll look forward to that.
Thank you. Yeah, and with that, I think it would be great to kind of hear what went well for our authors in 2021. Did you try any new strategies that produced interesting results, or did you go with tried and true? So we would love to open up the floor to you guys. So looks like our first David has something to share.
Yeah, thanks. So I heartily concur with the showcase strategy. And what I'd like to talk about is another idea that I got from Mark LeBlanc, which has to do with the advocate strategy. And this has been by far my best strategy with my book, at least. And once again, it's the road to happiness, how to get what you really want. But the book, what I've done is with the advocate strategy is I've gifted my book to advocates of mine. For those of you who don't know what an advocate is, it's a center of influence, or it's someone who loves you so much that they will gladly refer people to you. They could be a client, but not necessarily a client, but just someone who loves you so much that they will refer people to you. And so what I've done with my advocates is I've gifted them copies of my book so that they can gift them to people that they think might be good prospects for me. So it looks like it's a gift from my advocate. Actually, I'm gifting them the book to give to those people. And then the only caveat is they have to tell me who they gave it to, because, you know, in the coaching world, it's still hard for someone to call a coach out of the blue. It does happen, but it's hard. So if they tell me who it is, then 2 weeks to a month later, I'll give them a call as the author of the gifted book and have a conversation. It has been a game changer for me for sure over the last 18 months. So Mark, thank you for that. I'm telling you, it's huge. And what is it? You know, depending on the deal you have, maximum $5, maybe, you know, if you got a really good deal, maybe it only costs you $3. You know, what's that? That's not even a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So, you know, fabulous, I think, idea.
Thank you, David. And I just want to add to that end note. My relationship with David, the catalyst was a showcase presentation I delivered in Pittsburgh. We think it was about 1996. And so there's proof in the pudding that this strategy works. Anyone else? What idea did you try this year that ended up working better than you thought it would? Don't everyone speak at once.
I'll jump in, Mark.
All right, Joe.
Yes, just because there's cheering when I came in on the phone on the Zoom, that's fine. So you got me pumped up. One thing that I've done a little different is I implemented. I do one-on-one coaching, but I started doing some group coaching, and I call it Level Up, Lead Up coaching. I bundle a bunch of clients together, and just started doing that maybe about 6 months ago. Well, about a year ago, but I kind of fine-tuned it. And I'm having more opportunity with that than I've had with my individual coaching. It's really, there's something to that. And then the other aspect that I just see, and I maybe throw it out as a just observation, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things differently, whether it's COVID or people are thinking differently. And I think what we offer here, each of us have our own product. I think there's opportunity. People are interested in hearing about it. Just two thoughts.
I think you're right. Joe, can I ask you a follow-on question about that first idea?
Mm-hmm.
So you took several clients that you were currently working with one-on-one, and you felt like they would do well in a group, and so you created this group coaching?
Kind of, not quite. It was with, like if I have a unit director at Northwestern Mutual, I've been had a relationship with him. My business is referral based. Said, let's do a pilot with some of your team. So it's people that I've already have existing relationships with. I guess I've got 7 opportunities right now. 4 of them are that way. 3 of them are just kind of, I'm approaching them as a group. So it's a little bit of a combo.
Got it. Okay. I was thinking you were taking some of your individual clients and putting them in a group, but you were going to some of your current clients and saying, hey, let's pull together a team of your people or a group of your people. And I love it.
And I like your idea too of pulling some clients, because we all have the same problems. You know, it doesn't matter what your industry is, but that's something I got to think on. And I may steal that and give you credit for when it's successful, but pull different people over, because there's like, well, it's like your leadership council. I think you have a bunch of different industries.
That's right.
Or Achiever Circle. I'm sorry, wrong word.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Sylvia. Where's
Hi,
my
Mark.
Sylvia?
Do you remember me? We haven't
Of course
seen each
I
other
do. Of
for
course I
years.
do.
This is so wonderful. This is the first time that I'm here. I'm a bit sad that Henry is not here today, but I will reach out to him. I joined here today because you know me for over 12 years now, back from Michigan. And I don't know if you remember, I'm one of those classic sufferers I was, from creative life artist, reluctant business owner, multiple brand message disorder, where I was constantly reinventing myself because my creativity was always way bigger and faster than my business savviness. And I hardly could catch up with my own creativity. The pandemic last year, the lockdown was for me personally a gift, because it cut out, everything which wasn't working, crashed and evaporated, and I had enough time to reinvent myself. And old fans, clients from the social media realm who were following me for years, they came towards me. They brought the big idea, which changed now my life and my business, because I was known as a women's empowerment coach. I was known as a book lover and multiple times published author. So a group of women from around the world who were part of a global network, they approached me and they said, we want to write a book together with our stories. And you as a women's empowerment coach, and we know and trust and like you, we want you to be our publisher, because we all are scared shitless. We have fears around the visibility. The stories are very personal and intimate. We can't go to a normal publisher with that. We need you. Half year later, the book is out. So it's a group of women, 20 women around the world from 3 continents, multiple races, religious backgrounds, like diversity and inclusion top notch. And the book as an ebook became a bestseller on day 1. And we have also the soft cover out, and we have a luxury hardcover version with colors inside. And the whole message of the book, You Matter, how women reclaiming their power are changing the world, is starting now a movement. We are already 2 weeks after the launch in conversation in Rome with a university who wants to translate the book into Italian. And we have an invitation from a radio station in Zimbabwe, Africa, who wants to interview all the authors. And it's just, we are hitting a nerve with the stories. And for me, my whole family, all my friends, they all are like, hello, Sylvia. You live in books. You have 7,000 books in your house. You have a library in Germany. You eat books for breakfast. Why are you not doing that for years? I could not have come up with that. It was too close. And I also didn't know how good I am in certain things. I do the developmental editing of all the stories myself. I don't do the final editing because English is obviously not my mother language. So the whole grammar, spelling, word choice, etc., these kind of editing, I have a team who does that for me. But the whole training, coaching, and developmental editing I do, and I'm really genius in that as well. And I have so much joy and fun with it. So this is now my new business. And out of that first book success, I created now a whole plethora of products, including executives books, where I combine my executive coaching strategy, where I help executives who struggle, sadly, more and more since in the last 10 years with the lack of trust in the corporate world. Executives, sadly, the whole image has shifted from being the trustworthy father of the business to now being a bit like an enemy. It's so sad. So people want to know, like, and trust the executives. So I will coach them. I will interview them to elicit their core values, their life's wisdom. And I will then transcribe all the interviews and coaching sessions, and I write the book for them. So the executives who don't have time get a book which will be their voice, their story, their values, their life purpose, mission, what they stand for, and they can use that for their personal career and their personal branding, because this is what the public nowadays wants from executives. Yeah, it's just a different world. Yeah, 20 years ago, you worked as an executive for a company till the end of your life. but now it's down, the turnover, it's like 2 years. 2 years you switch, and whatever shit the company went through, it's projected now on you, and you are the bad guy. So I'm super excited. I have a completely new business, and 7 months ago, it didn't exist. I didn't know I will end this year with that, being now like you in the publishing industry.
Thank you, Sylvia. So nice
It's
to
so
see you.
amazing.
Congratulations on your reinvention. John, would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm a Vistage chair and a executive coach, and 2020 was a hard year. My Vistage practice did okay, but I lost almost everything else, and I had to go through an entire rebuilding in 2021. And the three things that I did is, one, I put together a testimonial video, like a sizzle reel, where my members did most of the speaking. They talked about the value that the group and I contributed to their ability to thrive through COVID. I also held an event. Since Vistage is not a try before you buy type of a thing, because everything's confidential, I held an open meeting where I obtained a speaker, a really well-known speaker, to speak on accountability, a subject that's of value to everybody. And we held a mini event for 3 hours, and I wound up getting clients out of that. And then I also decided to go into to contact networking groups, Rotary clubs, things like that, and just start doing public speaking on what it takes to eliminate obstacles. How do you get past the things that are blocking you from achieving your goals, and just starting conversations. And that has now, I've doubled my practice and created some really solid relationships, and it's teed me up rather successfully for 2022.
Oh, that's great, John. I love it.
Thank you.
Do we have one more?
Well, this is Jeff Foley. I will just,
Jeff.
I'll just say that about 2.5 years ago, I had my second small group seminar designed and tailored around the DeVries world. And I got some clients out of that, and it was very good, very useful, very fun, getting into it all. I had 10 people, 10 senior leaders from the community. And 2 weeks ago at a fundraising event, I met up with one guy who I have not seen since that seminar. And he said, man, I remember, Jeff, you talking about your new book and what you got going on. And man, I'd love to have you come by and meet with me and my new number 2 guy, and let's have a conversation. And so that happened. So they've hired me for January for their seminar, but they have so many issues that I cut my price just to get in the door. It's not free, but it's sort of a bargain rate for here in town, and they're good people, and I anticipate doing it. So the seminar, you never know when the guys and gals are going to come back and say, I remember. So that has worked great for me. I will also tell you that, I got to figure this out. Am I passionate, or am I only interested in going through this thing? It's a great comment, because I've had all these notes. I got thousands of notes, and it's been an interesting couple of years. And what am I going to get fired up really to do? And part of it is, am I satisfied with the number of clients I have now, or do I want to do more and help more people and get after this? So I'm in that decision-making mode. Having a dram of bourbon every night is helping me get through those decision-making processes. And I'm going to have to figure out, am I passionate or just interested? But everywhere I go, I get these executives who I coach and say, man, wouldn't it be cool if I could just hang out with some like-minded people who are not in my business? That's what they have asked me to do. And that's just I got to be committed and passionate about if I'm going to lead that, because that is a commitment. It's like a Vistage chair. And
sure.
Do I have the energy to do that? And I just got to figure that out.
Well,
so, great insights.
I would suggest you do have the energy, and you've got more good work in you to do. So I would just encourage you to step in that. You've got your book, you've got a network, Being passionate about something doesn't mean that you need to be working 24/7, 365. It just means that for the time that you give, that you devote to it, that you are all in.
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing that. And you raise a great, I didn't even think to share that, but that person or that prospect that experiences you that may seem to be dormant for a period of time, they eventually will often find their way back to you. And it all started with that showcase. So a great reminder that it's not just in the short-term results, it's also in the long-term results. I am certainly anal about tracking and measuring certain things. I think what is measured is often treasured. But there are, I sort of frame it as, when I implement a strategy, what are the 90-day results of that strategy? But then I look out a year later and make a note and say, what were the short-term results? What were the long-term results? You can't put a price on the relationship I have with David Goldman over the last 24, 25 years. And I have example after example after example of people who came in sort of that short-term window as well as that long-term window. So thank you for that. I want to just take a moment to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And if you're listening to this at a later date, thank you so much for tuning in. For Indie Books International, our video podcast was an idea that we came up with. Henry and I came up with it last December. And approximately 30 days later, we launched our first weekly video podcast. And the results, the feedback, the way that we've created a forum for our authors to support and help and share ideas with other authors has been astounding. So thank you for your faith in us, Henry, Suzanne, Devin, me, and our entire team at Indie Books as we close out the calendar year 2021. We want to wish you good health, happy holidays. We will see you in 2022, and we can hardly wait. Thank you, everyone.